वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेशमनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्य माव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम्। सन्नियं येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषामव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्। मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय। अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्मा परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि। अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्। श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम्। अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः। मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते जयः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगै मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः। अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः। यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिरमौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धाना भक्तास्तेऽतीव मे प्रियः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः हरिः ओम तत्सत् हरिः ओम तत्सत् हरिः ओम तत्सत् श्री कृष्णा परमस्तु शुभं भूयात् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
उपस्थित भगवत भक्तों के रूप में मेरी अपनी ही आत्माओं, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता भगवान के मुखार बिंद से निकली हुई अमर वाणी है और जो भी जीव श्रद्धा सहित इस अमर वाणी को धारण करता है वो जीवत्व को छोड़कर ईश्वरत्व की प्राप्ति करता है, इसमें कोई संशय नहीं। ये जीवात्मा चाहे जिस देश में रहे और चाहे जिस भेष में रहे, गीता सबका सब काल में समान रूप से कल्याण करने वाला एक अनुपम एवं अलौकिक ग्रंथ है।
Swami GeetaKiran ji, can we start the healing session? Thank you.
Shatava Prakritya Jagat Prahishyat Gyanurajate Cha Rakshansi Pita Nidishodavanti Sarve Namasyan Tishasekha Sangha Tasmajatena Nameran Mahatman Kariyase Brahmanopyadikartre Ananta Deve Shajagan Nivasa Tvamaksharam Sadasatat Param Yat Tvamadideva Purusha Puranas Tvamasya Vishwat Syaparam Nidhanam Vedasi Vedyam Japaram Jathama Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa Vayu Yamugnir Varunaha Shashankaha Prajapatistvam Papita Mahascha Namo Namaste Stu Sahasakritva Punasya Bhuyo Pinamo Namaste Namaha Purasta Tata Prishtataste Namo Sute Sarvata Eva Sarva Ananda Viryam Mitavikramas Tvam Sarvam Samapno Shitato Sisarvaha Sakheti Matva Prasabham Yadoktam He Krishna Heya Davahe Sakheti Ajanata Mahimanam Tavedam Maya Pramadat Pranayena Vapi Yajavahasar Tamasat Kritosi Viharashaya Sanabhojanesu Eko Davadya Jatatakshamakszam Takshamaye Tvam Mahamapameyam Pitasi Lokas Syajarājarasya Tvamasya Pujas Jagururu Kariyan Natva Samostya Vyatika Kutonyo Lokatrayepya Pratima Papava Tasmat Pranamya Pranithaya Kayam Prasadaye Tva Mahamishamidyam Piteva Buddhasya Sakhe Vasakhyu Piya Piyaya Hasideva Sodum Adreshta Purvam Hishitosmi Drishtva Bhayena Japrat Vyadhitam Manome Tadeva Meda Shajadevam Rupam Prasita Devesha Jaganivasa Kiritinam Kadinam Chakrahasta Michhami Tvam Drashtumaham Tathaiva Teneva Rupe Najadur Bhujena गच्छन्त्यमूढा परमाप्ययं तत् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदेषु सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृतवेदविदेव चाहम् निर्मानमोहा जितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्तः सुखदुःखसङ्गे गच्छन्त्यमूढा परमाप्ययं तत् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदेषु सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृतवेदविदेव चाहम् निर्मानमोहा जितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्तः सुखदुःखसङ्गे गच्छन्त्यमूढा परमाप्ययं तत् सर्वस्य चाहं material world, the creation of the Almighty, to find yourself the particle of the Supreme Lord. You are the light. Wherever you go, just shine brightly to everyone who meets you, to every life that comes to you. You will be helping the world and the universe. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev, Jai Geeta Mata.
Jai Shri Krishna, Swami GeetaKiran ji. Simply beautiful. I cannot describe how beautiful the session is. Amazing. We are glad to be a part of this session. Thank you so much. With this, I'd like to invite our respected Guru Bhai Joshi ji to please take it over. Joshi ji, over to you. Unmute कीजिए अपने आप को. Unmute yourself, Joshi ji.
Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev. I agree with you, Brother Peterji, that we must have this segment of Vijayaji's soothing meditation. And Vijayaji, please keep yourself encouraged to continue with your blessing. Can we hear you? Can everybody hear me? Thank you. At this time, I want to thank again all of our regular satsangi, and in special Nishi Ramanji, who is the wife of our president, Raman Chognajaji. Welcome, Nishiji. And I do meditation from time to time. So before I begin my session, let's begin with the Gurudev's blessings. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. As we know, last week, one of our very good friends, philanthropist, devotee of Gurudev, decided to leave this mortal body in Thailand, Sri Tanwanaji. Most of senior devotees who come to Gita regularly know him. Some of them know him personally. He was a very charming, smiling face. And friends, those who don't know, when we had international conference in Chicago, he was integral part of the volunteer working in Thailand. A very volunteer, aggressive was our sister GeetaKiran, who stayed in Chicago, traveled to places and places, including Canada, Indiana, other places, and requested people to come from all over. And dear friends, that conference was attended universally, as we call it, international conference. Of course, many devotees came from India, many came from Europe, many came from South America, but very hardworking were very few. Of course, GeetaKiran was one of the hardest working. But Tanmaniji that I was referring to was responsible for printing our souvenirs in Thailand. And when he came from Thailand, he brought those souvenirs with him. So knowing that he left his mortal existence, I thought I should touch base something which I had the experience of knowing it. Again, going back to chapter 2 and begin those. So let me begin my regular style. Vasudeva Susam Devam Kansachano Ramadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Kurum Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Munaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavati Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Friends, those who attended 2021 Virtual International Conference of Swami Sarvapriyananji talked mostly as an Advaita philosophy of Bhagavad Geeta and talked about 16th verse. We all know, so I won't take much time, but that verse was important. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Ubiyo rapidastvantva sattvam yosva swadashivi. Simply means there is no endurance for the transient, temporary, because asat. And eternal things, they always exist. For our ancient seers concluded this truth, and after studying the nature of Sat and Asat. Asat is temporary. Simply understanding temporary is whatever your eyes see, consider that to be temporary. Anything that you see and that you don't see, with our philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, the Atma is Sat. And when a person leaves this body, comes into the forefront. Sharir, whatever you do, has to leave one day. That should be clearly, happily, cheerfully understood and taken. Those who don't take it, they simply make their future days very unhappy, uncomfortable. I saw Tanmanaji many years ago when somebody helped me get a round the world business class ticket on Singapore Airlines, and I made a point to seek Thailand and stayed with Tanmanaji for a few days. Extremely disciplined, cheerful person. And I discussed about the steps of Gita Dham, what is happening. Tansuyambo was the president at that time. We discussed in detail. But anyway, time came, he got a stroke, and eventually he decided to leave. One day we all have to. There is no ifs and buts about it. Those who accept these facts will make their rest of their life and future very happy. I know it. I have no fear about it. And friends, let me tell you, from my childhood till age of 81, I have had 5 to 6 experiences where I could have in history in my childhood, in my youth, 20 years ago. But for some reasons, this body is living. But I know one day I'll go and I will go very, very happily. So let's see what happens. 22nd verse of 2nd chapter clearly says, Vansansi Jirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Griyati Naropurani Sasa Sarirani Vihaya Jirnan Nyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. This body should be seriously considered to be a cloth that our Atma, our soul is covering with. We very frequently change our clothes, but now we know, most of our Gita devotees know, that our real being inside this sharira, this body, is permanent. I remain as B.L. Joshi from childhood till now, but the B.L. Joshi that I am labeled with has been changing. I was child, youth, married, became father, grandfather. Name label B.L. Joshi remains, but everything that somebody looks at me, myself, is not the same. That is asat existence. But there are different parts that we can talk sometimes. So what I'm trying to tell you, the soul inside is permanent, and changing sharir is like changing the clothes, changing the station, changing the country. So very important to know this happens, and happens for everybody. And if it happens for everybody, there is absolutely no reason to worry about it. It is given to us as a lease, and we have to take care of this leasy equipment very carefully, as best as we can, and learn to become Karma Yogi and see what wonderful thing happens. Then they say, Nainam Chandansi Sastrani, Nainam Dharti Pavaka, No Chainam Predayan Tapo, No Sosati Marvata. Now it's talking about the real character of our real being. That real being that we are, no weapon can shred or cut the soul. Nor any fire can burn it. Even if body is put to fire at one time, but soul cannot burn it. And water cannot moist it, wet it, nor air can dry it. So it is something very unique. And whole study of Bhagavad Gita is to learn what is this soul. And my dear friends, I did know after so much of sermon by Sri Krishna. And Guru, Jagat Guru, like Krishna, was so calm, so comfortable. Slowly, slowly he made Arjuna to know he is the soul, and the whole army of Kauravas and Pandavas one day had to go, but the real being will remain. Again, 24th verse says, soul is unbreakable and incombustible. It can never be dampened or dried. It is everlasting in places, unaltered, immutable, primordial. So we have, today's goal is to learn. We see quite a few months here and there that somebody leaves the body for a better body. And what happened to Tanmaniji? Some people say, oh, what a misery, what happened? But I'm sorry to make a statement, it was a celebration. That moment is a celebration of great deeds, great karmas that we do. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us to be very, very good in our karma. As a samatva yoga, as a yagyat karma. And when that you do, immense power in our soul is generated, and we feel no uncomfort going, changing our next one. I won't take much time. Death is certain for one who has been born, certain. Never worry about it. Cheerfully accept it. And again, rebirth is inevitable for one who has died. So we are coming back. So there is nothing to worry because our real being is always there. Therefore, we should not lament or grieve over the inevitable. We should know clearly, we should love this Sharir, take care of it, it's on the release by the God, and never forget, Mama Imanso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanasana. We are his part, and that needs to be seen in everyone that you see outside you. Everyone is part of him. And we should respect everyone that you see. We should love everyone you see. Yet there are Kauravas, they are taught lessons by him, H capital. So world will go on, but our job, our duty is to live like Samatva Yoga Uttate and live very comfortably, happily, because that has to happen. Even Sri Ram left bodies, Sri Krishna left the body. So anyone who takes the physical being one day leave it by their choice or by force or with misery or with happiness. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us, and my dear friends, we are so fortunate that our lamp has been lit by Swami Hariharji. And that lit will remain forever until we become close to Sri Krishna. That powerful lit light is in everyone's heart, everyone's heart. We are lucky, we are fortunate. And now I always talk about Sri Hanumanji from Bhagavad Gita Dham. And I remember one line again and again. I know Hanuman Chalisa, Kumati Nivara Sumuti Ke Sangi. Anything that you do wrong will be with the Kumati, but with the grace of Guru and Ram Bhakt Hanuman, we remain our thoughts as a Sumati. If we keep our thoughts in a Sumati area, our karma becomes more sattvic, and we attain to reach what we have been sent for. Everyone looks differently, everyone. Everyone has a different thinking. But Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful shastra spoken by Lord himself, called Song of God, that we all get into the funnel, come out as the same we call devotee. So let's have Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar. It's a very powerful deity in Gita Dham. A special request ordered by Swami Hariharji, it was put there. And those who know Swami Hariharji Gurudev, on Tuesday he will always do Hanuman Chalisa. And everyone knows everywhere he goes. So we are being blessed, get blessing from Gurudev Hariharji Maharaj. Sleep, thinking, as Yagyat Karma is our duty. When you get up in the morning before you step outside your bed, remember Yagyat Karma, those three factors. With this, I will conclude and request Professor Kumar Prasadji. Thank you so much. I love to meet with you every Thursday. And as Brother Peter brought up Vilayji, it is a request. We love your meditation, healing practice. We do get healed. Under that meditation, positive thoughts come out and we feel better and better. So please do consider and be kind to us, continue this program. And gentlemen, before I give up to today's talk, I will request Dr. Prasad to give us 5 to 10 minutes if you can, so that last 5 minutes anyone can put up any discussion. End of the program, 5 to 10 minutes, participants can talk, discuss, do whatever they want. With GeetaKiran, Jai Gurudev, Dr. Prasadji, please take it away. Thank you very much. Okay, I've taken this screen.
Please unmute yourself, Dr. Prasadji. Unmute कीजिए पहले. Perfect.
Okay. Sri Joshi ji has talked about the departing body, departing soul, and one is Sata and other is Asata. Let me take you through what we have to do while we are living. But before that, my prayer to Lord and to Gurudev. Vansi vibhushita kara navanirdabha Geetambara arunabimba phaladaro Purnendu sundara mukha darvinda netra Krishna karam kimapi tattvamaham na jane Ajnanatimiram dhasya Jnananjana shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Divine souls, as you know, the 3rd chapter, to start with, Arjuna asks question. Lord goes on replying and trying to satisfy him with whatever doubts he had in mind. But then, after hearing Lord, Arjuna feels rather confused. He is unable to grasp those deep thoughts which Lord was trying to put before him to make him understand the philosophy. And as such, Arjuna, which you all know, still not very stable in his mind. Still he was in a state of delusion. He has some doubts which he wants to clarify, and he asks a question. He says, Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusaha anichannapi varsneya baladdivaniyojitaha. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusaha. Man commits sin, but impelled by what? That is a question. He goes on to say, though against his wishes, he doesn't want to commit sin, but he commits. O Varsneya, even sometimes so constrained that it is coming by force, that committing of sin, it is not just coming simply before him, as happens often. It by force is forcing the person, unwilling to commit sin, yet he is impelled, is forced to commit sin. Now you can see here, his question starts with the word atha. Now this atha has a meaning. That means atha indicates beginning. Atha, prathmodhyaya is beginning. And also means but. How come? That I know these things, but then atha. So that is, atha has a significant point here. In the beginning it says atha, yeah, atha purusaha papam charati. So he knows certain things, which is a fact, and after that he has a question. Now this question, as you see, is rather relevant, and he's asking the question in a rather polite way. Why I am saying this? Because if you remember the first and second verses of chapter 3, Arjun was in the state of delusion. So the way he put the question was rather impolite. You can say that he was rather not, I mean, not diplomatic is not the word, but who is rather charging Bhagavan. Vya misre neva vakyena buddhi mohya siva me. You are confusing me more and more. Lord was trying to take away his delusion. On the other, he says that you are confusing me. Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mamniyo jayasi kesava. How come you are forcing me to perform that action which is ghore, which is terrible, when there is an alternative that I could start meditating, I could do a perform and go in another way. But you are forcing me to perform some action which is considered to be rather too serious, too violent. So he says that ekam vadanishchitya en sreyo mapluvan. आप फैसला कर लो कौन सही है या कौन गलत है, और श्रेय जो है वो मुझे बताओ. You decide first within yourself what is right or what is wrong, and tell me what is Shreya for. If you compare those questions, the way Arjuna puts that question in the beginning of chapter 3, you will realize that Arjuna has now developed the capacity to receive, to realize, to understand and digest some. Having done that, he is now putting up a question. You can see in the class, if you give a lesson and a student asks question, it is not so easy to ask question also. Ramanji always sends, what are the questions you want to put before the speaker? Not so easy to select question also, because that has to have basis. One should have understood the background behind that question he is going to suggest or put forward. So here you can see atha word remains of significance. Arjuna has understood something and has understood, realized something. And after having realized something, he is asking the question to Lord. What he says? So there are two parts of it. One is Arjuna knows something and then asks question. What does Arjuna know? And what he's trying to say that he has not been able to understand. Arjuna knows that Purusam Papam Charati, that is sure about it. He knows that men commit sin. This part is understood, that people do, and he has mentioned that in several ways. I will come to that very soon. But he wants to know why, how, what happens to him that he goes to commit sin, and that too against his will and constrained by force. So let us see what Arjuna knows about sin. That is the background. What is his background? What he has been able to understanding, and then why he is a bit confused after Lord has given him certain thinking, certain concepts about the way one should perform as a karma yoga. I will come to that. Lord Arjuna has understood, he has the knowledge of Veda, and he says, Ma hinsyata bhutani, do not kill any being. This is the motto. Ved has said, violence of any kind, one will incur sin. That is in his mind. He knows that if any violence is done, then that is a sin. And he has said so in chapter 1. There are so many verses in chapter 1 where Arjuna has used the word papa. He has used the papa to tell Lord Krishna that I shall be committing sin. Etan hantumichhami gnatopi madhusudana. Hey Madhusudan, if I kill them, etan hantum, agar main unko maru, to gnatopi, that will be I shall be incurring sin. When he say etan, he talks about acharya, pitarah, putrah, tathaiva cha tamaha, madula, swasura, pautra, shala, sambandhinastatha. All those are included in verse 34, where he says that these are the people standing in front of me. They are all my various kinds of relatives. They are swajanam. Swajanam hi hatva amadava. How can I kill my own people? And he knows that if he kills them, he will be gnatopi. He will be incurring sin. He says, clearly he says, Pap me vasre dasman hatvaita natataina. Even though they are aggressors, but if I kill them, then I shall be incurring sin, which he doesn't want. He is arguing with Lord Sri Krishna that I do not want to incur sin, because even if they are aggressors, atatainaha, I kill them, I will be committing sin. He says, Katham nagyayam asmabhi papa dasman vartatum yadyapetena pasyanti lobho pahata chedasa. Look at his argument. He says, oh Bhagavan, no, he doesn't say Bhagavan, sorry, I'm wrong. Let me just come to me. Arjuna does not realize that Sri Krishna is Bhagavan till it is 10th chapter. I will come to that in great detail later on. But he is considering him as Sakha, as he's close, as he has some power, maybe Devi Shakti or divine power, but not Bhagavan. I will discuss that later on. So he says here, he is including Bhagavan also. You will be also incurring sin. If they are yadyapete napasyanti lobo pahata chetasaha, if those people, because of their delusion in the mind, lobo pahata chetasaha, if they are not understanding that by killing all those people, they will be incurring sin, katham na gyayam asmabhi, means we. Why not we tell them that this is papa? To go for war is wrong. we will be incurring sin if we kill each other. And he says, Aho bat mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam. We, you and I, vayam is both two plural. Vayam mahat papam kartum. Both of us will be incurring mahat papa by killing all those. So this is the understanding Arjuna has about sin, that he will be incurring sin if he killed them. He has also heard Duryodhana, the famous sloka in Garga Samhita, it is mentioned, Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittihi, Janamya dharmam nacha me nivrittihi, Kena api devena hridayastena yatha nijitosmi tha karumi. This is what Duryodhana, he has heard from Duryodhana. Duryodhana says, Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. I will not follow it even if I know what is dharma. You know, dharma, swadharma, and paradharma we have talked about earlier. So, Duryodhana says that if I know dharma, yet I cannot get myself to follow it. I also know what is adharma, yet I will not move away from it. O Lord of, this is his Kenapi Devena Hridayasthetana. Look at this. Sarvasya Chaham Hridasannivisto. In the heart of every being, Paramatma is residing. What is residing in the heart of Duryodhana? It is desire. O Lord of senses, desire, you dwell in my heart. That is what Duryodhana feeling is, that desire in there, and I will do whatever I want. This is the one Lord is stressing upon the whole of the remaining part of chapter 3, and that we will come gradually one after another. How they are so very connected. This is the feeling of the person who is of Duryodhana type, but Lord is telling Arjuna, you develop. Now, Arjuna now wants to know, impelled exactly by what one commits sin. He has known about one's commitment of sin. Before I move, the other part is, what is confusing Arjuna? Why he is not understanding clearly what Lord is saying? You remember in verse 33 to 35, Lord is telling about those aspects of Prakriti which leads to Raga and Dvesa. Lord talks about Swadharma and Paradharma. This part Arjuna is not able to clearly understand. He cannot really understand as to how, whether it is the force of Prakriti, that is compelling one to do this thing, or it is the result of the Raga and Dvesa which emerges as a result of Prakriti, that one is compelled to perform certain action. Indriyasindasyarthe Raga Dvesa Vyavasthito. Raga and Dvesa are sthit where? In Indriya. And Indriya objects, Visaya, it goes towards Visaya. So the propelling of the Indriya to perform action, is it because of the Raga or Dvesa? That what Arjuna at the moment is not clearly able to understand. So the question comes there. Other thing which confuses him about is Swadharma. Is it the disinclination for one's duty, Swadharma, or is it inclination towards one other's duty, Paradharma, that one commits sin? Am I taking more time? No, I am. Okay. So Lord is saying, impelled by what one performs this papa. You see, when we talked about this, one performs actions sometimes, and most of the time, depending upon how his gunas are working, in each one of us, there is for both Daivi Shakti and Asuri Shakti. Whether you are Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic, you have the preponderance of either Devi Shakti or Asuri Shakti. So these two powers, they of course belong to Paramatma. Those two are within you. So when there is an issue, your sense has grasped the sense object and it wants to react. The reaction is depending upon the preponderance of Sattvic or Tamasic, Rajasic too, and you commit certain thing. This is most of the time it is spontaneous, that those who are cheats, those who are always scoundrels, they are always engaged in wrong kind of action. For them, it is very easy to tell lie or do dishonesty, very simple. But a man, a person who is on the path of his spirituality will at times find it very hard. I often give an example of somebody in the prayer hall. He has come and a talk is going on morality, and he's sitting there listening everything. After hearing the talk, he comes out of the prayer hall and finds $100 note on the floor. Now, the moment he has been inside the hall, Sattvic talk going on morality, how to be a moral person. He has understood that. He is also righteous man, so has gone to the temple. But while coming out, he finds a $100 note on the floor lying there, and everybody has gone. All those who were there. So nobody is watching him. So he says what to do. He has two things in his mind. Either he picks up and put in his pocket, or he picks up and put into the donation box in the temple. Now this tendency of individual to do either this or that determines how much he has developed in him the Sattvic tendency or the Tamasic. But that intention or desire to commit something, if he picks up and puts in the pocket, that is in Papa, he understands that. It is not that this is the one point which is again being stressed, that the person who commits this, he knows what is wrong. Tasmat shastram pramanam te karja vyavastito. He has understood, he has been there, he has heard the talk, and he has understood what is right and wrong. Yet, there is something which comes up, forces him to commit the sin. The other point is that Bhagavan is present in all forms in our body. He is Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheswara. He is within you. Upadrashta. Drashta means seer, who is seeing. Upadrashta means over and above that seer. He is seeing, overseeing you. As you find sometimes in Havan, you are performing the Havan. Then there is somebody, Jajman, there is a Panditji. And on top of that, Guru Ma sits there. So Guru Ma is sitting, Havan is going on. The Panditji is asking Jajman to perform Havan. But that seat which Guru Ma is sitting there, she is as an Upadrashta. She is seeing whether the Panditji is performing the rituals correctly, or Jajman is putting the Havan is correctly or not. That kind of role Bhagavan plays in every individual. He is observing there in you, seeing your action. Each and every action is recorded. And each and every action has reaction. There is law in the law of karma. There is no action which goes unrewarded or unpunished, depending upon what you are or how you are performing. So there is Bhagavan within us, who is not only Upadrashta but Anumanta. That is a wonderful thing. If you have any, quite often, as I'm sure each and every devotee of Gurudev Bhagavan, each and every devotee of Gita would have one time or other realized that he is in trouble. Suddenly a solution comes up. He is not thinking about it. He might be thinking, but it so happens that he is in trouble and Bhagavan takes care of it. Gurudev takes care of it. I have my experience, and I'm sure each one of you has experienced that he comes to your rescue. He tells you, as Swami GeetaKiran was telling, that he had the phone number of Joshi ji in her pocket, and she was in deep trouble in that airport. She did not know what to do, but suddenly that comes in. So these kinds of things come in the life of each and every sattvic person who has got some sattvic tendency, who has got the Gurudev Maharaj blessings. He would have raised. So that is Anumanta. He is there to see and advise you to do right thing or wrong thing. But then the question comes whether you are seeking his advice or he is prepared to give you advice or not. There is a little bit of story about, okay, time is coming up. I think I will stop. I will tell you about a couple of stories in my next talk. I don't want to overshoot my timing. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Gurudev.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prasadji. And if Gita Dham ever begins a PhD program, you will be the guide to help somebody. Thank you very much. We have gone to the point, but I still want to keep our system in order. Anyone who wants to take few minutes, few seconds to share their feelings, any questions, or anything about Bhagavad Gita, we will continue for 5 more minutes. And again, openly, I want to request GeetaKiran ji, your soothing voice of 12th chapter and hearing will be highly requested to continue. Thank you. Anyone who has any concern, question, please share it now.
Hi, Jai Shri Krishna to everybody. I have a request actually, which I think that will help everybody, at least help me. We all definitely are talking about Bhagavad Gita and its inspiration in our lives. But we have difficulties to follow through with what has been guided to us through the Gita. And it is probably because of our karma. जैसी कर्म लेके आए हैं उसी मुताबिक हम जी रहे हैं, तो फिर हम बदलाव कैसे करें? Here, a deer that is wandering around in the village is meant to have the arrow to shoot it. It's out there in the jungle. And if it's supposed to have it, it will have it. How can that be prevented? Through the inspiration of Gita. That's a very big thing. A lot of people have read Gita, learned a lot of things out of Gita, but not to execute it. They seem to have difficulties. How can we inspire everyone so that they can find the right message for the right question that they have? I feel that everybody in this program, if it's okay with everybody, should come up with this 700 good reasons why Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna. But then those 700 reasons, when to use, which reason to use, when to, how to move forward. And what has that really benefited us? Like, if there's one thing that benefited us, what is it? And what is it that we cannot follow through with that, even though we know that that is the best thing that we can want to ever do from learning from Gita? So if everybody can say what they, number one, have understood that, man, I love karma. Karma yoga is the best thing I can ever want to, bring into my life and live it. And now I'm having hurdles of this. So how can I solve these hurdles, Oh, I love bhakti yoga. Gita has pearls, like I said, 700 reasons, Some people want bhakti yoga, they believe in it 100%. Some people believe in knowledge, but then they believe in those certain things and then they just don't know how to execute it. They got confused. Why? Because of the Maya, the materialistic world, and they're like, they're not getting that grace. And of course, Maharaji used to say that the only way you can get all these answers is reading the Gita. But if we can try to a little bit work towards that, I think will encourage, like, I would like to know, Bhagwan sabke andar vaste hain. I want to know what Jayanti has to think. What does she think that, how has Gita really helped her? And how, if it has helped her in Bhakti Yoga, then what are some of the hurdles that she has going on to try to accomplish that goal? And I would like to hear from Ramanji, for example, or Nishiji, or anyone that attends this program, Peterji, I believe in Bhakti Yoga. Man, I want to do everything that I can do to try to make sure that it's accomplished. Now, what are some of the hurdles that I'm facing? Maybe come up with only 2 or 3 hurdles. Doesn't have to be too many.
He will only answer if you conclude your question.
No, sorry. That's if you guys think it's okay. That's what I was thinking of, That's all.
Firstly, I will just make a comment on your questions.
Yeah.
You were very much worried about other people. Why they think like that? This is a case of our improvement. Bhagwan Krishna ने अर्जुन ने कृष्ण से कहा कि मेरा कल्याण किसमें है? It's a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So if everybody can become Arjuna, your problem will be solved. All the questions will be answered. We have to clean up our karma with our karma yoga that will culminate into bhakti yoga and that will also culminate into jnana yoga. But concentration should be individual question who has the question. We cannot think about how others are doing. Sorry.
No. I didn't. I guess maybe it's misunderstood. I just said that if anybody in this program has, a question of that sort, like I would like to know.
Let them
I have my own question.
If they have the question, let them ask. Don't worry about their question.
Yeah, they will, if we can make that available to everybody. I'm not sure. I don't know. If we make it available, then yeah, maybe we'll have it.
If you have the most senior person, Dr. Prasad, I request you to give your comments.
But sorry, I didn't mean to take everybody out of track. I'm talking for myself. I would like to know some of the answers from the Gita that I read. I'm sure, like me, there's other people too. So if we do, then let's please bring it forward.
Josiji, if I may say, Josiji, if I may say something.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you see, I think you understand in Hindi better. Let me say that. Gita महासागर है. एक एक बूंद उसमें से अगर लेकर के आदमी उसका स्वाद करे, बहुत है. Everybody comes and hears something. After hearing, what we do? Sravana, mananam, adhidhyasanam. If you don't go through the process, the path of spirituality going up will be very difficult. So that's very clear. Here, what you do? Do you chew it up? Do you swallow it slowly? उसका स्वाद लेते हैं क्या? आपने जो कुछ भी सुना उसमें से, क्यों ये सब भगवत गीता है, भगवत गीता का तो एक एक शब्द भगवान गुरुदेव ने खुद कहा है कि मणि है, इतना महंगा, इतना वैल्यूएबल मनी है, उसमें से एक बूंद, वॉट एवर यू हैव टेकन, यू हैव हर्ड, most important thing is go back, you try to understand what was told, go through the verses on which this was explanation was given, and try to extract the best thing out of that and see, commit yourself whether you are going to perform that action. You see, from next verse onward, there are 7 golden verses in Bhagavad Gita. From verse 30, 35 onwards, there are 7 verses up to till verse 43. Each verse is so valuable. Each verse, Bhagavan dissects thoroughly what is the problem, what and how to get rid of. He finds the enemy. He goes into the bunkers of all those enemies where they're hiding, and how to take those enemy out from those bunkers and kill them. Lord, in these 7 verses, which is going to follow from next week, are so valuable for Karma Yogi. This is the question Arjuna puts in. His question is for entire humanity. That what is the problem? Why should we commit sin? And if you don't commit sin, what you will do? You will get the punya. And that's what you want, isn't it? You want to develop yourself. You want to improve yourself. If you want to improve yourself, the first thing to do is to get rid of your impurities. And how to get rid of impurities? You know, and Bhagavan has so clearly mentioned how to get rid of your impurities. The moment you start getting the impurities down, you will get into purity. And once you get purity, then you will, and I'm sure what all of us were 10 years back or 20 years back are certainly far, far better than what we were then. Why? Because of Bhagavad Gita. Because we have got something from Bhagavad Gita. So whatever path you follow, karma, bhakti, or jnana, they will lead you up there. You will be committing less and less of those impurities, and you will add more and more to purities. And that's the goal of life is. And ultimately, you become so pure that one with Brahman. There is no doubt about it. The important thing is, when you listen, try to remember what has been told. Try to study that more. Spend about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to think about what you have heard. Swallow that, digest that completely, and apply that to your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is a new thing we started at the end of our session. We will use 5-10 minutes about discussing. Thank you, Raju, for bringing the question.
Thank you very much.
The aim of the game is to improve oneself, and with that oneself improvement, that fragrance will help around you to get better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So little time. Thank you all. We'll see you next Thursday and of course coming Sunday. And please come. And also I want to say that every full moon, GeetaKiran ji have a special healing session, very powerful concept. You are all invited, and most of you have received the invitation from Peterji. Please come join, hear how beautifully 12th chapter is sung by Chinese girls under the guidance of GeetaKiran ji. Thank you very, very much. Yes, Good night from Chicago. Good morning everywhere else.
Yes, Krishna. Yes.